Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Abderrahman Amajou, mancava la sigla finale, rieccomi di nuovo, mi scuso se ho interrotto la musichetta. Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Abderrahman Amajou, sono il coordinatore internazionale dell'ufficio migranti e inizio insomma dando innanzitutto qualche informazione tecnica alle persone che ci stanno seguendo in questo momento. Allora, selezionare l'opzione interpretariato al fondo della schermata,
to access the interpreting
sotto,
feature,
con il
you
logo del
have the bottom
mappamondo.
bar of the
Ci sono
Zoom
le
app.
diverse
You
lingue
can see a
disponibili.
globe and you will see the different
Oggi
languages you have.
purtroppo per un problema della piattaforma di Zoom
Since we have a
l'italiano
problem
compare
in the
come coreano,
platform,
per
you
cui
can't
cliccate
see
su
the
coreano
language
se volete
Italian,
ascoltare
so
in
you will
italiano,
need
in
to select the Korean language if you want to listen to the Italian
inglese e poi in
translation.
spagnolo.
And then you will have the English
Se
and the
volete
Spanish language
fare una
available as
domanda,
well.
un
So if you want to
commento,
ask a
potete
question
scrivere
during
nella
the webinar,
finestra della chat
you
a
can
tutti i
write in the
penalisti e
chat
ai partecipanti.
and you can ask your
Dette
questions to all
queste
the panelists and all the participants.
informazioni
So that's
tecniche,
all as far as
volevo
the
insomma
technical
ribadire
features are
un
concerned.
grande onore per
I
noi,
would
un
like
onore ospitare questa
to
conferenza
say once again that it's
all'interno
a
di Terra
pleasure for us
Madre.
to have this
È un
conference within
momento
the Terra
storico che
Madre
rimarrà impresso
festival.
in tutti noi,
I
in
think we
questo
will all
momento
remember this
straordinario dove il
historical period
contatto
because we're
umano
living through
è
a
venuto a
very exceptional
mancare.
period
Abbiamo
where
scelto
there
di
is a lack
lanciare
of
Terra
human
Madre e
contact.
animarla per 6 mesi.
Nevertheless, we
Siamo quello
chose
che
to launch our
abbiamo appena
initiative
visto dal
and
video,
to have it for 9 months.
nell'introduzione.
As you
Siamo
have
delle
seen in the
persone che
video in our
cercano di
introduction, we
rappresentare il mondo
try
dei
to
produttori, dei
represent the
dei
word of
pescatori, degli
producers,
agricoltori, i custodi della
farmers,
terra, i custodi dei mari.
fishermen.
Diamo spazio alla
So
rete
all those
giovani,
people
alla
who
rete
work,
indigena, alle reti migranti. E per la prima
all
volta,
those people who are
quest'anno,
involved in
2020-2021, per la prima volta la
different
città
types
di
of
Torino
process who help
non
migrants.
vede tra le
And
proprie
this
vie i
year,
colori,
for
i
the
profumi, le
first time
lingue, i
in our
costumi
city
di
in
migliaia di
Turin,
delegati
we
che da
cannot
tutto il
see
mondo davano un'anima
all
incredibile alla
those
città.
people
E il
who
nostro
generally
ufficio, che
came
coordina
to
l'ufficio
our
migranti
city in order
insieme
to
alla
attend
collega
our
Valentina De
festival.
Gregorio, anche
So
ella
together with
connessa,
our
il nostro
partners,
ufficio è nato proprio nello spirito
we
di Terra Madre di
wanted
alcuni anni fa, quando abbiamo cercato
to
di dare
continue with
spazio alle
our
comunità
activities. So we
migranti,
want to
alle diaspore
involve
che vivono
migrant
in Italia,
communities. We
dove il
want to
cibo è
involve
diventato uno
all
strumento di
those people
inclusione,
who
di
work
crescita
in the food
economica, di
sector.
sviluppo, e dove il
Food,
cibo
the
è
food sector is a
valorizzato e
sector
allo
in which
stesso
we want to
momento il
enhance
cibo
each
valorizza
resource
il
and we want
pluralismo,
to
promuove
give
così non
value to
solo
the
la
individuals. We
biodiversità,
want to
ma anche la
promote
diversità dei nuovi
biodiversity and we
cittadini.
want to promote
Con i
the
nuovi
diversity
cittadini
among
si
of
lavora anche in
all the
un'ottica
different
non solo di
citizens.
sviluppo sul
We
territorio
want to
nazionale
work with all
europeo,
the
ma
citizens at
anche nello
national, European
sviluppo dei
level,
loro
and we
paesi
want to
d'origine,
help them
attraverso
develop
la cooperazione
their
internazionale,
values.
dove per la
We
prima
want to
volta
establish an
le nostre
international
realtà
cooperation,
sono messe
and
in prima
we
linea
want
nel portare idee, nel
to
portare
help the international
pensieri, nel
community to share
portare
their ideas, to share the good
delle loro
practices,
progettazioni
and to
all'interno di una
share their
progettazione più
projects.
grande, dove hanno un ruolo importantissimo
I think
perché loro conoscono il
all the
territorio, in
stakeholders
molti
have
casi, molte
a
meglio
very
delle
important role
organizzazioni,
because they
perché
know their
loro hanno
territory
questa
very well and
appartenenza
because
biculturale e sono un
they
ponte
are representative
strategico
of
sia
different
per il
cultures,
contesto
and
italiano, ma anche
this
nel
has a
contesto
very
dei loro
important
paesi
strategic
d'origine.
value.
Io oggi vorrei ringraziare insomma e dare il
Today, I
benvenuto
would
ai
like to
nostri
welcome
ospiti,
you all.
ActionAid,
I would like to
International
thank you
Italia
all. I
Onlus,
would like
che è
to
il lead
thank our
partner
guests.
di questo
ActionAid is the lead
progetto, del progetto
partner of
Bright,
our project,
all'Apsus, Laboratorio per la
Bright Project.
Sussidiarietà in
I would
Italia,
like
al
to
Consiglio
thank
per la
Lapsus as
ricerca in
well,
agricoltura e l'analisi
the
dell'economia agraria, alla
the
Fondazione
bodies for the research and
Centrul Parteneriat
agriculture.
pentru Egalitate della Romania
I would
e
like
Foundation Gender Project for
to thank
Bulgaria.
our
E
partners in
poi infine
Bulgaria, in
ALDA, gli
Romania,
amici di
and of
ALDA,
course, I would like to
European
thank
Association for
our
Democracy,
partners of
con sede in
ALDA.
Belgio. Io, prima di passare la
Before
parola
I
ai
leave the
colleghi,
floor
mi
to the colleagues,
piacerebbe prendere un momento di riflessione per
I would like
ricordare
to
un'amica,
share my
ricordare una
thoughts with
persona
you. I would like
straordinaria,
to
ricordare una
commemorate
persona che
an extraordinary
ha
person,
lottato
a
per
very
tutta la sua
close friend of
vita per la
ours
giustizia
who
sociale e
fight
soprattutto
it
per la
during
giustizia nel campo
or her
del
life in order
cibo.
to gain
Vorrei
justice,
ricordare
especially in the agricultural sector.
𝐼𝐿𝐼
I would
che
like
era un
to
agricoltore etiope,
commemorate
era
𝐚𝐤𝐿-𝐵𝐤𝐿
un'imprenditrice e
She was an
ambientalista
entrepreneur
Era immigrata in Italia
committed
dopo
in
aver
the
vissuto un conflitto a
environmental
causa del
issues.
suo
She
attivismo
came to
politico
Italy.
contro
She was an
l'accaparramento delle
activist.
terre, in inglese il
She
land grabbing,
worked
da
for
parte
the
dei
land
militari
grabbing,
per
and
favorire le corporazioni internazionali. Ha
she
avviato un allevamento di capre utilizzando la razza autoctona del
started
Trentino
she
per
started an
produrre
activity for
latticini e
breeding goats.
prodotti
She was
di bellezza.
she produced
𝐼𝐤 è
dairy
stato un
products.
simbolo ed è ancora
She
oggi
was a
un
symbol,
simbolo
and she
nazionale
still is a national
dell'ambientalismo,
symbol
dell'inclusione dei
for
rifugiati
the
ed è anche
protection of the
un'imprenditrice
environment, for
di
the protection
successo,
of the
ben voluta dalla
refugees.
società italiana da parte sia dalla
We
stampa
all
che dalla
loved her.
politica,
Everyone
sia
loved her.
dall'associazionismo
The
come Slow
media
Food.
loved her. The
Purtroppo
politicians loved her.
𝐼𝐤 è
Unfortunately,
mancata, è stata uccisa
𝐼𝐤
nel
was
dicembre
killed
del
in
2020.
December
E nel
2020.
2015, quando l'abbiamo conosciuta di
We met her
persona
in
e abbiamo iniziato a
2015.
lavorare con lei,
We
le
started
abbiamo
working with
riconosciuto un premio
her,
molto importante, il
and we
premio Resistenza
awarded her
Casearia,
with a
che è un
very
riconoscimento che
important,
Slow Food assegna a ogni edizione di CISE,
a
questo evento
title which
internazionale
Slow Food
in tema
awards
formaggio
to
e
very important
latticini.
people
A quei
who
pastori e
work
a
in the
quei
dairy
casai artigiani
sector.
che rifiutano le scorciatoie
And we
nella
give this
modalità di
award to those
produzione e che
who fight
continuano
illegal
a produrre
practices.
formaggi e
And they
alimenti
keep
rispettando
producing dairy
la
products,
naturalità, le
respecting
tradizioni, il
the
gusto,
traditions,
naturalità dei prodotti.
the good practices,
Anche se
and the
tutto
nature of
ciò
the products
a
themselves.
volte comporta fatiche,
Even if
rischi,
sometimes it's not very
isolamento,
easy to
resistono,
work like
molte
this,
persone resistono.
they
Resistono
resist.
anche per noi,
And they
per
resist.
voi,
They do that
mantenendo
for
vivi
us, for
patrimoni
you.
straordinari
They
di
want to
saperi,
keep
di
our
saper fare,
heritage alive.
di protezione dei
They
paesaggi e di
exchange
rapporto
good
con gli animali.
practices. They
Per
protect
noi
good practices while
𝐼𝐤 era
working with
quello.
animals and on the land.
Dalla notizia che ci è arrivata a dicembre,
So we were very
come
sad
Slow Food
when
siamo
we
stati
knew
fortemente
about
colpiti come
these
comunità
tragic
diasporiche,
news.
veramente
It
tanto
was a
colpiti,
shock for us.
e ciò che faceva 𝐼𝐤 non è
So
assolutamente stato
we
fermato,
will
ma
remember
continuerà e
all the
verrà
incredible
ricordata
achievements of
per
𝐼𝐤,
lo
and we
sforzo
will
che ha fatto
continue to
e
remember
per
her and to thank her for her
la sua
incredible
idea di
effort,
società,
and to
dove
thank
non si
her for the
rispettano solo
idea
gli
of
esseri umani,
society she wanted
ma
to
anche i
promote,
paesaggi e gli
respecting the human
animali.
being, the
E quindi
landscape, and the
volevo
animals.
aprire ricordando
So I
𝐼𝐤 e
wanted to
dedicarle
commemorate this
questo
incredible
inizio del
person,
webinar a
and
lei.
I would
Grazie.
like to remember her also during the webinar. So thank you very much.
Slow Food Festival Terra Madre. I switched to English, but again, the translation, it's possible to find it in the bottom of the screen, and you can select the screen, the language you want to listen to. So I'm Dolinda Cavallo. I'm project manager of ALDA. And I would like to thank Abderrahmane and all the colleagues from Slow Food for make this happen, to accept to be part of this amazing festival. We are going to have a lot of interesting guests today, and we're going to talk about awareness campaign and networking from different perspectives. So let me just share my screen. One thing is, if you have any questions, you can write in the chat, even though we will have also in the end a little bit of a moment for maybe the next questions. So I'm going to share my screen just to see together the topic we are going to discuss today. So I am again part of ALDA, European Association of the EPIC Project, European Association for Local Democracy, and ALDA is part of the BRIGHT project. The Pride project will be presented by the leader, the coordinator of the project, who is 𝐜𝐈𝐿 and will be presented later on during this webinar. But just to quickly introduce it for those who doesn't know the Bright project. Bright means building rights-based and innovative governance of EU mobile women. It's a project funded by the Right, Equality and Citizenship Program of the European Union. And the main aim is the support of women, local hosting communities and institutions in setting up community welfare models for social protection system in rural area. Later on, my colleague and the leader of the project will be give you more detail. But I'm here just to explain that this is the fourth webinar of a series of webinars that started in October. Together with the Bright project, we address different topics. From an introductory webinar, then we discuss about participatory methodologies answering to local challenges. We then discussed about how engage unrepresented women, experiences from the field. Today we are going to discuss about the networking and awareness raising campaign. And we are going to have a final webinar in February 2021. That will be a final meeting and a moment to share and reflection and what we have learned about in the previous webinars. So everybody is also welcome to participate in this webinar. Today, the webinar addressed the topic of for the rights of agri-workers, good practices and networking and awareness raising campaign. And the guest of today will be, we will start with Gaia Salvatori, an active member of the executive committee of Slow Food in Italy. We will then go more in details with Elisabetta Uroni, the head of communication of ALDA, who will help us in understanding better the technical tools and the meaning of an awareness raising campaign, so the principles, the key features, with also with a touch of storytelling. We will then listen to Grazia Moschetti, the project coordinator of Bright from 𝐸𝐿 Italia, who will present us Invicta, the voice of women agricultural workers resisting and rewriting the future. And we will conclude our discussion with Jean-Pierre Ivan Sagné, the activist and the founder of 𝐸𝐿𝐼, who will present us virtuous model against the phenomenon of illegal intermediation or labor exploitation in agriculture. We will have then a final Q&A moment to also listen your comments and your question if there will be. So I now stop to share my screen. And okay, and now I leave the floor to our first guest. So I would like to invite Gaia Salvatore to help us in understanding better the commitment of Slow Food in informing customers and the public in general on fair food, and also how what we can do to make it possible. So Gaia, the floor is yours.
Buon pomeriggio a tutte e tutti.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Delinda. As I've told you before, we are so happy to have this opportunity to share with you our practices within Terra Madre Festival. I think we need to talk about the exploitation of the labor in agriculture. We will have a great opportunity today to talk about this with very important people whom we have worked with our guests for a very long time. I would like to start from two keywords: fair food. Clean, good, and fair, these are the adjectives that summarize the vision that we have regarding food. In the first edition of Terra Madre, we introduced these topics. So we talked about social justice, the respect towards the laborers who work in our fields. So all these topics are very important for us, for our agenda. The food we buy, the food we eat every day, the food we have on our tables come from a supply chain, but too often we don't know the origin of the food that we eat. So thanks to the work which has been carried out by different associations, but our association, we want to focus on sustainable food, on the practices related to the food supply chain. Over the past few years, we have talked about the environmental impact of our choices, thanks to different movements. Let's think of the Friday for Future movement, for example. So we have started to talk about this environmental issue. We need to have an holistic approach as far as food is concerned. So we need to ask ourselves some questions that is, do we know what we are eating? Do we know all the practices which are carried out on our fields? So do we know about the exploitation of workers? So do we know anything about the men and women who are involved in the agriculture sector? We need to consider the rights of these people, social rights as well. So the right to have healthcare assistance, for example, the right to have a house. So we need to ask ourselves these questions. So that's why when we talk about fair food, we needed to talk about these questions that we need to ask ourselves as consumers and as responsible citizens. Starting from these thoughts, we launched some initiatives. These initiatives involve different topics which we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about these topics during our webinar. We decided to involve the youth by launching an awareness campaign. Our goal was very ambitious right from the start. So we wanted to involve a very big public. We wanted to let them understand how the agri-food supply chain work in order to help consumers to understand the dynamics of the supply chain, and in order to let them know more about the exploitation of the laborers in the agriculture sector. We also want them to understand what are the causes of the exploitation. So we talked about the big distribution and all the phenomena related to these sectors. We highlighted the importance of responsibility. We are responsible when we make our purchases because we need to be aware of what we are doing. We really believe in this message. We all can bring about change. We wanted to create a network by launching our campaign. So we wanted to spread a clear message, and we wanted to involve all those stakeholders who work in this field. The list of the stakeholders is very long, and the activities that we have carried out are many. So if you want, you can go to our website and see all the things we have done so far. Thanks to the campaign we launched, we cooperated with LIBER as well. So thanks to this campaign, the youth, so these young people, had the opportunity to know about different associations who are really committed in this topic. So thanks to Grazia Moschetti, for example, thanks to the work of ActionAid, we were able to know more about good practices. And we organized a panel dedicated to these invisible workers, the workers in the agriculture sector. So we had the opportunity to know the BRIGHT project, and we had the opportunity to focus on the situations of inequalities. And we realized that inequality affects women in particular. This phenomenon was underlined also during, thanks to a study carried out by Placido Rizzotto Observatory, and the data were released in November. So I think that we should all be committed. We should all be proactive in order to change these situations of inequality. And we need to start this type of process through our daily actions. So we need to focus on inclusion, dignity. We need to be honest. There is still so much to be done. I would like to conclude my speech by sharing with you a quote by Dali Nolasco Cruz, who is an indigenous leader, Nahua. She is also a friend of us. After one of her speech, she pronounced these words: if we want to live in a good, clean, and fair world, we need to adopt an anti-capitalist, anti-racial, anti-racist, anti-colonial, and anti-patriarchal point of view. So I really believe in this message, and I think that these words embody a very important mission, our symbol of a very important mission that we want to carry out through our work. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
To explaining us all the commitment of slow food. I think it's important to stress like how essential is to fight this mechanism of inequality, and the importance to, I think it's also difficult to reach sometimes the public or outsider people that maybe are not aware about all these mechanisms that are beyond all this the products that we are consuming. So I think that also because this webinar is addressed to understand how then we can create an awareness campaign, which is also the reason why awareness raising campaign are important. I would like then to ask Elisabetta Aurone, who is the head of communication of ALDA, to explain us which are the technical maybe details of an awareness campaign, and also to suggest on how to then reach producers, citizens, and also to how to guarantee that we can address the or we can have the good instruments to express and to give the message that we want to give. So Elisabetta, I leave you the floor, and again I invite all the participants, if they want, to write in the chat at any time if they have any question, and we will come back to
Thank you very much, Dolinda, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Terra Madre Festival and for giving me the opportunity to speak during this event. So yes, I'm Elisabeth Uroni, the Communication Manager of ALDA, the European Association for Local Democracy. I apologize if there are sometimes some background noises. The office is close to a big street. I hope they won't be too bothering. So I'm going to share my screen. And so the objective of this short presentation is to, sorry, I'm just checking if everything is working, because everything is black. My screen is black. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
No, yes, we can see your screen, yeah.
Okay, yes, sorry, everything is frozen. Of course, when you need to present, this is, okay. No. Sorry for this inconvenience.
Maybe you can try to stop sharing the screen and to try to reshare it. Maybe it can work.
Yes. Sorry, just a second. I don't know why my laptop now just decided to freeze.
Or also I can, yeah, maybe either you can try to stop the video and I can share the screen. I mean, if, maybe now it's working because I see it better, but if not, I can share your presentation.
If you can try to share my presentation, Dolinda, maybe it's better. Sorry.
Of course. Let me just. Okay, it's this one, right? So.
Maybe we are too many people in the office today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, so I was saying that the objective of this short presentation is just to give you an overview of the main elements to keep in mind when we want to embark in such an adventure and start planning and implementing our own awareness raising campaign. So let's understand, what does it mean? Yes, so we can go on. Firstly, let's start from the basis. What is an awareness raising campaign? It's actually an organized communication activity aiming at creating awareness on particular topics, promoting or supporting behavioral change among the general population or towards a specific target. So the message can be conveyed through many different channels, such as mass media, social media, mail, email, public relations, events, talks, leaflets, and it's up to us to choose the best way to convey our message. And why are they so popular? Actually, because it was shown that they are actually the most efficient and effective means of communicating and promoting information to the general public. So next slide, please. Now I want just to introduce the 6 key elements to take into consideration before starting going public. So first of all, in order to start planning a successful and impactful campaign, it is important to begin with a little of research. This research must be aimed at looking around for already existing campaigns on the topic of our interest, both to active and non-active ones. Then it is important to analyze those campaigns So did they work, which winning elements or weaknesses they had? And then another important point is to try to think broadly. This means, for example, to determine the main focus of our campaign and brainstorm on the potential donors we may want to rely on. So are they donors we already know? Are they part of our network, or we want to use our campaign also to expand and broaden our connections? The second step is to choose the appropriate time frame. This is really crucial because choosing the right date and time frame can help to maximize the impact of our action and strengthen our message. So what does it mean? On the one hand, we need to schedule our campaign in order to give our staff, colleagues, volunteers the time to plan and implement the action. On the other hand, we also want to make sure the donors and the sponsor, if we have any, are going to be available on that given time. Very important, awareness raising campaign work better, of course, if they happen during a larger awareness day, week, or month. So indeed, the date if the date corresponds with a larger recurrence, this can help build an awareness campaign also about our cause, using the marketing surrounding these bigger events. Speaking about time frame also includes choosing the length of our campaign. So an awareness raising campaign does not necessarily need to last long. It may also take place during a single day or a week, for example, according to our objective and the general surrounding situation. The third element to take into consideration is the audience. So the audience we are targeting is important because it will have a direct consequence on how we are going to promote our campaign. So the target can be as broad as the general public or may focus on youth, unemployed people, and elderly people, institutions, etc. Obviously, communication methods also differ from a target to another. For example, if our donors are a more traditional audience, this will be more likely to respond better to classical communication methods, such as mail or email. If our target are the millennials or the Generation Z, we may want to rather employ social media and, for example, mostly Instagram or TikTok. In any case, the objective is to stimulate empathy on our donors, on our public, and that's why the target really is going to play a huge role on how we will run our campaign. Then I put ambassador as next point. This is actually like a plus, a jolly element to play for our campaign if we can, because it's often very hard to find unless we are super famous or in the renowned organization, like an influencer talking about our subject, our campaign, and promoting us. Yet a VIP, let's say, supporting our action will really make sure our campaign stand out and increase the donation or the general outcome and impact we expect from the campaign. Another point is to study the channels we are going to use. It is surely helpful in terms of marketing and promotion to use multiple channels for outreach, such as social media, email, direct mail, phone calls, newspapers, flyers, and everything else we might think about. This will increase our fundraising results, of course, then focusing on only a couple of channels, but we still all the time need to use the right channels according to the audience. So more is better, but also targeted ones are really important. So I left the message as last point, but actually it is maybe the most important one. So we need to elaborate our message in a way to make it stand out. So it needs to be clearly connected with the overall mission of our organization, let's say. And this is important not to create confusion among our public, our sponsor, donors, etc. And it needs to be consistent. So consistency is always everything. So at this point, we need to elaborate the perfect message. Of course, this looks like easy, but this is really maybe the most, the point in which we need to study more and to take more time. In order for the message to be effective, we need to have clear in mind the purpose of our campaign and demonstrate this purpose in the message, which should be loud and clear. So very often, the more the message is clear, the more it will be effective. So there is a reason why I left this part, the message part, as the last element. Because actually I want to connect for a couple of minutes with the topic, or better the word, of storytelling. So actually behind the message of an awareness campaign, there is indeed always, almost always, a storytelling component. So stories are actually the most powerful tool to unlock the feelings, the empathy of the public. And let's think for a second about commercials on television. They are also almost all built through storytelling. So what storytelling is actually simply the art of telling stories to convey a message. And so humans love stories since the night of the times, and there are reasons behind this, because stories help people to remember concepts, images, and real notions. They are funny, so while people tend to get easily bored, storytelling is a tool to always keep the attention high. And also humans need to perceive meaning and connection, and storytelling is great in this. So the technique of storytelling, as it became famous, we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Dalinda. Sorry. So the technique of storytelling, as it became famous, is based on the narrative of the hero's journey, a pattern of elements detected and elaborated by Joseph Campbell in a very famous book. And those elements recur in the most part of the stories we know, even though we are not aware. We will maybe now recognize some of them in cartoons, films, or also campaigns we heard of. We can see all the journey of the hero in the image in the slide. And so usually there is a hero being the protagonist of the campaign, of the story, who is a simple and normal person living his life like many other people, when at a given moment a specific thing happens, triggering a change and bringing him or her to another dimension, or starting a series of unexpected events and challenges. There is often an antagonist the hero must fight, until the protagonist actually reach to a higher level of consciousness, gaining a superpower, unlocking some special capacity, and becoming a better person, self-aware, and coming back to the real world, the normal world, differently, so stronger, improved as a person, and better in a broader sense. So this was really the short and path of elements of this technique, let's say. If we pay attention, and from now on can also be funny to start thinking about. Here I just put some pictures of The Sword in the Stone, The Godfather, The Lion King, which they don't include all the elements of the hero's journey, but really many of them. I don't really talk about those now, also because if someone hasn't seen The Godfather yet, I'm going to spoil it forever. So I'm not going to do this. But it's very important. To conclude, I would like to go back to our topic, so to the world of civil society organizations. So now I brought some examples of fictions, films, cartoons, but actually storytelling is a great tool to use in our campaigns to reach, to helping our associations, organizations reaching their mission. That would be outside thousands examples of winning and successful awareness raising campaigns. I just put 3 examples I personally like a lot. The first one is, maybe you already know some of them, Change Your Shoes, which aims as raising awareness of the labor behind the production and the chain production of a simple pair of shoes we might easily find on a store. And they also contain really almost all the elements of storytelling. This is also interesting to notice. I encourage you to look at the videos. So the first 2 examples I brought today are videos. The first one is just 1 simple minute, but it's really strong and effective. And what it promotes at the end of the story is an app you can download to your mobile in order to track the history of the shoes you are buying, in order to be sure they are not made by exploiting children. The second campaign was really a huge success during the Syrian war, and there are 2 episodes of this campaign made by Save the Children. So the most shocking second day, I'm sure almost all of you are familiar with this. And the third is not a video like the previous ones, is a series of pictures shot by the photographer Tom Hussey, who wanted to draw the attention to old people and to the dignity they have, even if it might not be clear to our eyes, but they also have a past, and they might have accomplished many things during their lives. And this is also a series of many great pictures. So this was very short, but just to encourage you to start your own awareness raising campaign, knowing what it implies, and to reflect of your story, because actually each of us, our organizations have a story, and if we play the right elements, we can really start the change in our society, our community, in a very effective way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Elisabetta, for this technical instruments and tools. I think it was interesting to see how the tool of storytelling can be really essential to give the message, and also if it's used in a right way, it can really bring big changes. Also, for example, in maybe choosing food that doesn't involve exploiting, or also it can be used for NGOs to give the message they are working on. And like following the topic of storytelling, I would like to invite Grazia Moschetti from 𝐿-𝐴𝐷 Italia, who 𝐿-𝐴𝐷 Italia is the leader, the coordinator of the BRIGHT project. And in particular, I would like also to invite Grazia to share with us a very good example of storytelling that is 𝐼𝐵ICTE, the voice of women agricultural workers, resting and rewriting the future. So Grazia, thank you for joining us. I leave you the floor.
Grazie. Ringrazio chi mi ha...
Thank you very much. Thank you to the other speakers. I would like to start my presentation by thanking Slow Food and the Terra Madre Festival, because they have been working. I have been working with these associations for a long time, so I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to work with you today. And I'm very happy that we have the opportunity to strengthen the possibility that we have to tell the stories of different people. We are now working for this BRIGHT project, and we are working with all the stakeholders in the agri-food supply chain, and we work with many people who want to protect and safeguard human rights and the rights of people who work in the agriculture sector. I would like to share my screen. I hope you can see my screen correctly. As Linda was saying, today I would like to share with you in the experience of 𝐼𝐵ICTE, which was presented on the 25th of November, 2020. It is a project which is born from the different female empowerment processes that ActionAid has been carrying out in Italy and in other foreign countries. One of the main elements of the storytelling of ActionAid, so the stories relating to the people we want to support, comes from some guidelines of the International Confederation of States. It is necessary to act now and to focus on communities as a whole. So we need to involve women to allow them to have decisional power. We want to analyze all the dynamics of the inequalities of our society. That's why we developed this storytelling activity. 𝐼𝐵ICTE is a podcast by Lella Costa in collaboration with Audible. This is a story in 4 episodes to celebrate the strength and courage of women who want to rewrite their future. In this story, we talk about the experiences of many women. So, for example, we talk about Elisa, who is a girl aged 22, who works as a volunteer. We talk about Raja, who is an Indian girl aged 18. And we talk about a laborer who is helping 80 laborers who work in the south of Italy. So we talk about 𝐸𝐸, the first story of the podcast. These stories connected to the experience of different women, and we want to highlight the impact of inequalities on a global scale. And we want to highlight the fact that we can identify which is the structural cause of gender inequalities. In 𝐸𝐸's story, we can see a clear example of this. This project was born within the empowerment process that we want to carry out. Last summer in August, we trained 8 leaders, 8 women who are laborers from Romania and Bulgaria, who are working together now and who are involving 80 women in the reflection circle action. In these moments, women can share the inequalities they suffer, they can identify some solutions, and they can create different alternatives together with the whole community. So we talk about their community of origin and their community of destination. So in this case, we're talking about the communities based in Puglia, Basilicata, and Calabria regions in Italy. Our project deals with the rights of women who migrate within the European Union. Their work condition is not clear, and their sector of agriculture is a low standard labor sector. The European Union do not protect them in this matter, because the migration of women coming from the east of Europe who come to the Mediterranean area is very risky. So they do not have any type of support. They do not have a regular contract, and they suffer psychological and physical violence. So these violations need to be banished. We try to fight these inequalities by implementing different conventions of the Organization of the Labor. And we are carrying out a research involving the countries of origin and the countries of destination. And we carried out a research also with 𝐸𝐸. We know that the agriculture is a sector which is interested by some violations of the human rights, because women don't have any social relationship. They do not have any social services. And they don't have any access to the information regarding their opportunities and right regarding a decent work condition and decent life condition. So this is what ActionAid has been doing so far. So we focused on the gender responsive public services, and we focused on women's rights, decent work, and the access to the public services. This is a very important issue in the south of Italy, because when women come to the south of Italy, they have some contracts which are signed with an hour rate of €5 for their work. But when they come to Italy, they find out that this is not the condition that they actually have. There is a sort of parallel welfare in our country. And this is due to the fact that the public services are not able to meet the needs and the requirement of these workers. We are working to create capacity building strategies, and we have been noticing that institutions cannot meet the needs to these women because these women are essentially invisible. No matter how long they have been working here, sometimes they sign a contract in their countries of origin for 1 week. We have heard this in many cases. So many women thought they were going to stay here for 1 week, but then they ended up staying here for 2-3 years. So what we want to do within our partnership that we established thanks to the support of ALDA Association, we involved 40 different partners at the European level, and we want to promote the active participation to the decisional processes of the communities. And we do so by implementing public services of community welfare models. So we don't want us to copy some services or public-private services. The services we want to implement are public. We design these projects together with institutions, and we do so by implementing the collaboration agreements on the common goods. These governance systems are collaborative. We define an agreement according to the needs that women have. These needs are identified by the third sector, the community, the enterprises. And all these parts carry out real actions, concrete actions. And the institution is responsible for meeting the needs of these women. We ended the first year of the Bright Project in 2020. Now we're starting the second year of the project. Of course, we needed to remember that last year was a very difficult one due to the pandemic. The pandemic generated different type of quantitative and qualitative data regarding inequalities and social injustice. And of course, we need to analyze this data and take an action, an immediate action. Of course, we know that in order to implement a social change, we need to take much time. There was an essay in 1968 entitled Trust. The author was underlying the importance of trust. We cannot live without trust. And the author was wondering, what can give you the certainty that every day we can have proper and good conditions of living? Newman, the author of the survey, talks about trust and identifies trust as an essential element that we need to have in a social relationship, the social relationship which regulates the system. So, we would like to apply this principle to broader initiatives, broader aspects. That's why we need to work on common goods, tangible and intangible goods. So we deal with the agriculture sector. We work to build a trusted relationship in order to give women some services and to create sound systems, gender responsive systems, and public systems, which can be useful under different perspectives. These systems need to tackle different needs, different situations, situations which were made even worse due to the pandemic. So we think that this is a big challenge that we need to face in the future. We would like to write together with women a sort of manifesto of their presentation and explanation of their rights. So we would like to write all these principles together with them so that all the institutions, the enterprises, and the community can commit So I hope that we will have the opportunity to act now in order to help women laborers in the agriculture sector. I would like to say that in the laboratories, we listen to many tragic stories and experiences, and this is no longer acceptable. Thank you very much for your attention.
And for explaining us in details the action of 𝐸𝐈 and also of the BRIGHT project and what it's doing to protect women's rights, above all in the agricultural sector. Indeed, the agricultural sector often witnesses the risk of a lack of rights for those who are working in the field. And for this, I would like to invite 𝐜𝐢𝐭𝐢𝐳𝐞𝐫𝐬, activist and founder of 𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐻, to share with us his experience and also to tell us more about 𝐻𝐼𝐻, that is an association which advocates for ethical employment. So, Ivan, I leave you the floor. Prego, Ivan, ti lascio la parola. Grazie.
Grazie. Grazie a voi.
I would like to thank everyone as well. I would like to thank the organizer of the BRIGHT project, and I would like to thank Slow Food as well. 𝐻𝐼𝐻 is an association. The main aim is giving decent work conditions and give employability opportunities to those who do not have any work opportunities right now. So we'd like to fight the illegal recruitment, the exploitation. So we would like to involve those people who are involved in illegal recruitment processes. And it is not easy because we know that employability, like implement employability, is not easy at all, but we are managing to do so. Over the past few years, since the beginning of our project, we created 500, we helped 500 people to find a job. Our goal is to employ 4,000 people in our supply chain. And then I will explain how we can do that and why it is possible to implement these type of processes and to reach these goals. So we started as a protest movement, and then we started giving proposals. At the beginning, there were few of us, and our message was just a protest. So we wanted to report the illegal practices that we were living. But now, 𝐚𝐼𝐿, after some years, we understood that it was time to take an action. So we understood which is the strength of the illegal recruiter. They manage a sort of slavery system. So it is said there are 180,000 people living in poor work conditions. So we want to fight this illegal system, and we want to involve these people, the laborers. So we want to involve these laborers so they are they are no longer under this illegal system. In order to do so, we wanted to work directly in the agri-food supply chain. That is the only way to achieve our results. The only way to eliminate the exploitation in this sector is to work directly in the supply chain. We formed a big alliance among the different segments and different parts of the supply chain. So we involved the laborers, the farmers, we involved the distributors of the sector, the big distribution, the big organized distribution, and the retailers, shops, the fair trade organization. So we involved all the sector of the distribution, and then we reached also the last link of the chain, that is the consumer, the citizen. So as you can see, this alliance is very big, is very broad, and this alliance is coordinated by 𝐚𝐼𝐿. So us at 𝐚𝐼𝐿, we want to take care of all the problems in order to bridge all the gaps that we have in the agri-food supply chain. We talk with the distributor, we talk with the seller. We want to raise awareness among citizens, among consumers. So we involve those people who live in a sort of ghetto. We are working at a national level. We're working abroad as well. We are working with the south of Spain because, as you probably know, the exploitation is an international issue. So this is our strength, the ability of creating a big alliance with different segments, parts of the supply chain. And we have this goal. We want to involve those laborers who are under illegal recruitment processes. And we want to help these people to become part of a new network, a network which promotes their rights. We wanted to work starting from the supply chain. The initial idea is that we needed to deal with those who have the power. So the power is in the hands of a subject, which is the big organized distribution. So we start from the market. We try to reach the managers of supermarket in order to create new supply chain, in order to present new products on their shelves. And then we build a new process. So we do not start from the laborers from the beginning, because we believe that this is a mistake. Because we need to start from the market. This is our belief. Because if we want to create, to build human rights, we need to consider the financial issues as well, because you need to consider the remuneration for people. We need to consider, sorry, also the price of the goods. So this is where we need to start. So we need to start from the market, as I was saying. So we started from the supermarkets, from the retail sector. They contacted us. They told us, we want these type of products. So we want products without any type of exploitation. So we explained to them that we needed to start from the prices. So we calculated together with the farmers some amounts of prices. So we calculated the prices. It is not a very easy process. I will not go into details regarding that. Just think that agriculture is a very complex sector and system. So this is where we started. We started by fixing the price. Then we started from the products. So we received a list of products that supermarkets wanted to sold. And then we met the different producers and manufacturers in the country. Together with the producers, we fixed the prices. And thanks to this initial work, this unique initial work, because for the first time, the price was established not by the distribution itself, but by the sellers, by the producers. This is something which doesn't happen. In Italy, we had a really clear example of that with the protest of the farmers from Sardinia region. Because buyers fix the prices. This is the general practice, but the market needs to be different. So the manufacturer, the producer need to set the price, considering the rights and the remuneration of the workers, the laborers as well. So this is where we started. And then we established the price of the goods, as I was saying. Then, if the big distribution accepts the price, we can go on with our activities, our work. Overall, we can say that the supply chain that we involved all agreed with our initiatives. So thanks to these activities, enterprises, farmers cannot exploit anymore, because inside the price of the good, we included the rights of the worker, the remuneration of the worker. So you can see that we work with the distribution sector, we work with the producers. And we also work with the laborers. As I was saying, we want to give employability to those who do not have any rights. So we choose the laborers we want to involve according specific criteria. So we want to involve people who are exploited. So we want to hire them. And we exactly know where to find them. So we send our activists in these specific places like squares, slums. We take them. Sometimes illegal recruiters see us and threaten us. Nevertheless, we get in touch with these people because we want them to go out from these so-called ghetto. So we take them to our farms and we ask farmers to employ them, to have them in their farm. NOCAP doesn't ask the farm to send their workers away, of course, but we ask farms to add these people to the staff. As I was saying, these new laborers are the laborers who used to be exploited. This is the main criterion that we apply. Then we follow all the practices related to the sign of a legal employment contract. We buy some means of transport. We find some housing solutions for the laborers because we cannot send them to their ghettos again. It would be a failure for us to do so. So the next step is to find them a real housing opportunity. And thanks to our network in the territory, thanks to our cooperation with the church, Caritas in particular, we have the opportunity to find an accommodation, real housing solution for these people. And thanks to the means of transport that we buy, we can take them to the field every day, to the farm every day. So this is how we create a new supply chain while respecting the social rights, the house, the transport, the contract, the equipment, the commercial aspects with the enterprises, with the farms. Then we work with the supermarkets, with the market. We have fair products. Everything is transparent. Because if we want to promote ethic values in the agriculture sector and in the corporate sector, we need to promote the ethical values in the big distribution as well. So this is our main activity. Then there is another link in the chain. The final link of the chain, which is the one of the citizens and consumers. We need to raise awareness among citizens because they need to understand that they can play a key role in our fight, in our activity, because they need to be aware of what they are buying. This makes a huge difference. According to a study, the GDP, which comes from the exploitation of the laborers, accounts for 25 billion euros. Unfortunately, this damages the whole society. So the citizen needs to understand this. Their choice can contribute to have a virtuous process, a virtuous cycle. So they need to make an informed choice. 𝐸-𝐶𝐵 highlights, stresses these aspects. The sticker that we designed, the 𝐸-𝐶𝐵 sticker, is a sort of reward for all the virtuous activities which are carried out within the supply chain. It is something that this consumer can see, so they can identify our supply chain, our products which come from this supply chain. Of course, it takes a big effort because, as I was saying, we are carrying out different types of activities, which are sometimes new for us. I'm an engineer, and now I work with farmers, I work with distributors, I'm an activist now. So I deal with employment contracts, so I deal with all the aspects related to these initiatives, marketing, etc., etc. So this is quite new for me. But we want to involve all the stakeholders of the supply chain. And all the stakeholders need to be aware of what the other parties are doing. This is because we need to bridge all those gaps underpinning the agri-food supply chain. We were criticized sometimes because many people think that distributors just have to think of the distribution and so on. But I think the reality should be different, because we need to consider the whole system as well. And we need to help each other, because if there is an unfair system, all the stakeholders who are part in the system are a victim of this illegal situation, unfair situation. So this is the main strength of 𝐸-𝐶𝐵 in my point of view. So we are reaching our goals. So we started from one distributor. Now we're involving different stakeholders. We started with 30 workers. Now we have 500 workers. The next year we will reach 3,000 workers. We started by collaborating with 5 farms. Now we involve 100 farms. In Italy, there are 1 million farms. So I think we are the beginning of a big journey, of a long journey, of a long path. This is the path we want to follow. The problem regards a full structure, so we need to work by involving the stakeholders of the whole structure as well. So in order to implement a systemic change, we shouldn't work on singular projects. We need to implement an holistic view, a broader view, because we need to face the challenges on a global scale. So we need different resources in order to help the country, in order to help Europe to benefit the whole system, as I was saying. This is our philosophy, the philosophy we wanted to implement and to adopt. So we wanted to implement a structural action. We are very optimistic, so we are very happy with the work we have been doing so far and with the objective we have reached. That means that there is still room for improvement. I would like to conclude by saying that all of this is possible if everyone is committed in this change, in this process of change. So we need to involve citizens. Each one of us can have a crucial and active role. In particular, those citizens who think they don't have any power in that. So they need to be aware of the fact that they are very, very powerful in this matter. So they need to be aware of what is going on, and they need to be aware of what they are buying and eating every day.
How 𝐸-𝐶𝐵 started, and how the big results that 𝐸-𝐶𝐵 reached. I think that maybe after all this presentation, there might be some questions, maybe also from the other speakers, since we had the time now to listen to all the presentations. So I don't know if you have any questions, you can write it in the chat, and we can read it out loud. And I don't know if maybe other speakers want just to share some thoughts or reflections, or just say something to reach then the conclusion. Let's see. So I think there is a question for Ivan. So if we have others. Ivan, abbiamo una domanda per te.
Ivan, we have a question for you. They asking, how is the sale of no-cap products in participating supermarkets, in involving supermarkets going? So how is the sale going? Is it successful as you were expecting? Are consumers buying no-cap products? Are they sufficiently informed about your products? Yeah, as I was saying before, we have had very satisfying results. The sales are going very well. Our distributors are saying that they are receiving a lot of different requests from all over the world, not just in Italy, in particular in Germany, Switzerland. They are requesting they are asking for our products. Of course, our objective is to enlarge our market. So if they ask our products from Tuscany, for example, from this Italian region, of course, we need to find a suitable distributor for each area. So we are working for enlarging our distribution network because we are receiving a lot of requests. So we have been very, very successful in Germany. In the south of Italy, as you know, we have different living conditions compared with the north of Italy. Nevertheless, in the south of Italy, we have been very successful because many people from the south of Italy wanted to contribute to the development of their region. So that's why we have received so many requests from citizens of this area. So we are really satisfied with our performance. Thank you very much for your contribution. Gaia, would you like to take the floor as well? Thank you, Delinda. I have a question for Ivan as well. You were mentioning the sticker, the no-cap sticker, so the need to be transparent. So also, as far as the packaging is concerned, packaging can be a very important, a useful tool to communicate with the customer, with the consumer. So this is a very important topic. We are working on the narrating labels, which are labels that will narrate and tell all the information regarding the supply chain of the product. So which is the criterion to have to receive the no-cap sticker? So which are the requirements that the producer need to meet in order to apply for the no-cap sticker on the product? So the system is a bit complex, I have to say, because we are not a certifying body. We need to specify that. Certifying is not a word that I like, because there are a lot of contradictions relating to this expression. 90% of the enterprises which were arrested because of exploitation practices were certified by authoritative certifying bodies. We give our stickers according to different criteria. So we need to assist to see the practices of the farm 24/7. Because if we don't live the activities of the farm, we do not give the sticker. Because sometimes there are some hidden practices that are not very easy to detect. So we are working, so we are talking about the black market, black labor. We talk about the illegal recruitment, the so-called caporalato in Italian. So we want to detect all of these type of activities which are mainly present in the farms. So we want to check whether the timetable is good. So we want to make sure that there is no extra time, not overtime, which are not paid. So we want to make sure that all the standards are met, all of the different levels regarding the positioning of the workers in the company. So all the legal practices can be seen, can be detected if we work, if you are in a direct contact with the company day by day. Our strength, our model is to be there, is to be present. When we tell the farmer, you need to hire this person, it's not just that we want these people to leave the ghetto. It is also a way that we have to control what's happening inside the farm. Sometimes they even make fun of us because sometimes they tell us, oh, you sent a police officer to our farm because you want to control us. Because we inform the laborers before they join the farm we inform them about their rights. And these laborers then tell us what the work condition is like in that specific farm. So they tell us about their working day, what they are doing inside the farm. So this is a way we have in order to make sure that everything that happens inside the farm is legal and lawful. Sometimes the farmer, as I was saying, make fun of us because sometimes it's not easy for them to accept our process. We believe that we need to make the farmer understand that we are working for their interest as well. So we want to combine sustainability from the point of view of the value and sustainability from the economic point of view, from the revenue point of view. So we cannot just talk about rights to the farmer because they won't simply understand what we're talking about. So we need to make the farmer understand what it means to hire these people. Of course, the company need to pay a certain amount of money when they hire 50 new workers, for example. So we need to make them understand the benefit they can have if they hire these laborers. We are lucky enough because we were good at making people understand why they have to make this choice. So farmers need to understand why they need to be environmentally sustainable, why they need to be sustainable also from a social point of view. So this is what we want to do at 𝐸𝐴𝐻. And these are the requirements underpinning the sticker method that we wanted to implement. So we want to control all the network relating to the farm. So we want to check all the partners of the farm, because there are many sectors involved in the supply chain, as I was saying. So we control all the different sectors, all the different partners of the farm. And then we monitor day by day all the activities. We are even more efficient than the bodies provided for by the Italian government, I have to say. So by monitoring day by day, by checking on their practices, we can make sure that the farmer doesn't make mistake. And they know that if they make mistake, they will lose a part of the segment of the market that we are bringing to them. The farmer understands that we are an opportunity for them. So they follow our instruction very carefully. So this is the guarantee that we have. So the system that we implemented is the system of the sticker. This is the requirement that the company needs to meet. And then there are other 5 main criteria, but we do not have time to talk about them, because these aspects are referred to the circular economy, so all technical aspects that we do not have, and we do not have time to go through them in detail. So that's all for now. Yeah, actually, we do not have much time, so there would be so many things to talk about. I see that there are a lot of questions. So maybe in the future we will have some further opportunities to talk about no cap, circular economy, and so on. There is another question for Ivan.
Riguarda la prospettiva di genere, quindi
it is about the gender perspective. Do you also involve female workers, female laborers, women laborers in your activities at No Cap? Yes, of course. We involve both women and men. We carried out different projects based on men. If you think of the tragic experience of Paola Clemente, who died in Puglia while she was working on the field. So I worked to make justice for this, to make justice after this tragic event. So we carried out many important projects in Salento area, in Apulia region. We involved 50 women of the area where Paola Clemente used to live. In that area, women are exploited every day, and this process has been going on for many, many years because laborers are mainly women in that area, because illegal recruiters prefer to have women at their farm, because they think that their hands are more delicate in order to pick a specific type of fruit, like grapes, strawberries, cherries. So the recruiter thinks that women are more careful than men. And this characteristic is exploited by illegal recruiters. So there are thousands of women who leave every day from the squares of the main cities in the Salento region. They go on these vans. The vans leave at 4 or 5 a.m. They take all the women to the fields. We saw all of these practices, so we wanted to intervene. We wanted to hire 53 Italian women in the grape harvesting sector. And that was a very important signal, because in that part of Italy, the scenario is complex, is very difficult. So we carried out a project, and we involved women in another project, because we hired 10 women who were victims of human trafficking. These women were mainly from Nigeria, but we involved different nationalities as well. Now, thanks to our project, they have they have a house, they have a regular contract, and we gave them a means of transport in order to reach the field where they work every day. So we gave these women to have a new opportunity, new decent life condition. 30% of the workers we involve are women. So this is a very important percentage that we can tell you. Regarding the events that you have bought, we saw a campaign of yours, a crowdfunding campaign, which was very successful because this campaign allowed you to buy a big van in order to help women to reach the fields without having to ask illegal recruiters to have a means of transport in order to reach their workplace. Can you tell us something about that? Yeah, transport is a crucial element in this matter. The strength of the legal recruiter, apart from the control of the slaves, is the management of the service, is the management of the transport system, because they have some means of transport, and the legal recruiter can take the laborers from the slums, for example, and they can take them to the fields, which are 50, 60 kilometers away from the place where they live. So if you take these resource away from the legal recruitment system, which is the one of the transport, that is a very effective measure that you can implement. So we need to substitute what the illegal recruiter does. So we need to provide for the transport. So we all know what happens in the fields in our country. So we know that the fields are in the countryside, and sometimes it's very easy to get lost in these places. So if you do not know the precise moment, the precise place where the field is located, and you don't have anyone who can take you to the workplace, you cannot go to work every day because the public transport do not reach these areas. In those areas, by the way, the public transport is not efficient at all. So the fields are in the countryside, as I was saying. So we wanted to create a system in order to help the laborers. And we wanted to provide these laborers with means of transport, to give them the possibility to reach the workplace that are the fields. So since we do not have any funds, so we have never taken part into tenders, for example. We take our funds from the citizens because we launched a crowdfunding campaign in order to be able to buy a van in order to help women to reach the workplace from where they live. So in Italy, we have a difficult situation as far as the logistic is concerned. Laborers live in a ghetto, the legal recruiter go there and hire them. Italian people generally have a house. So you need to calculate, you need to see which is the ideal route. Illegal recruiters generally tell laborers to go to the main square, and this is where the illegal recruiter can find the laborers. But we do things differently because we go to each different house. It's more complicated, it's more expensive, But we need to do that because we want laborers to have a real house. Therefore, we need to go to each different house to pick them up. I have to say that the crowdfunding campaign was really successful because it gave us the opportunity to be successful in these areas in the south of Italy that I was mentioning. I know that Grazia wanted to say something in this matter, right? Yes, that's true. I just wanted to share some thoughts with you regarding the story that Ivan told us. Of course, we work in this area of Italy, the area that Ivan is mentioning. And I think that this energy that Ivan is showing, and all the people, the energy that all the people who work with him have, I think this energy is very inspiring also for those who are responsible of these processes. So I'm talking about institutions. As Ivan was saying, the public transport is a big problem because the public transport actually doesn't exist in some areas of Italy. So we're talking about some areas which are deprived. And when we consider the rights of women laborers, we realize that this lack of institution is a very serious problem. So if we can monitor and check whether the contracts are respected at the different farms that we want to involve, the story that Ivan told us is an example of that. Ivan told us, I'm an engineer, but I was able to manage all these new processes. So this is very inspiring for us because it is an opportunity that we have to think of what we can do, of what we can learn. Ivan was able to create a new skilled community. So just wanted to share these thoughts with you. It is possible to do so, we need to do so, and we need to involve the institutions in this process. So we need to provide local communities with the necessary tools in order to help them to become more inclusive, fair, and to assure social justice. We do not have any other alternative for that. So thank you very much, Ivan, for sharing your experience with us. Thank you very much. Thank you too. Thank you, everyone. All right. Thank you very much for these thoughts. So I think we are approaching the end, the conclusion of our webinar. I don't see any other questions here in the chat, so I can share the screen with you for one last time. In order to check what we have learned today. So I would like you to go to click on the link I'm sending you on the chat right now. So you can go to this Mentimeter link. You can see the link on the chat. You will need to reply to 2 easy questions. By clicking on the link, you will be able to access the Mentimeter page. If not, you might just enter the code that you can see on my screen, which is 8373481. And I would like you to answer to these answers. Maybe we still have something to learn regarding this matter, because we talked about very practical experiences. So we have seen some general ideas regarding awareness raising campaign. I can see there are some replies here on the screen. I hope other people can be able to join to access the platform in order to choose their answer. I can see that the most of you have chosen the answer partially. So as I was saying, we can talk about this topic again in the future. I can see some other replies. So now we have both partially and fairly. Let's move on to the next question, which is the last one. Here we can say that someone said fairly. We see that some other people want to know more about this topic. Of course, we had the opportunity to share our experiences and to think together about this topic. I would like to thank all of you for your time, for your participation. These 2 hours have been very intense, but very interesting, with so many reflections, with so many experiences. So I would like to thank you very much. I hope that all the participants had found it useful as well. So our session is over now. Thank you very much, everyone, all the speakers who participated in the seminar. Thank you very much for your availability. Thanks to the colleagues of Slow Food for having us today. Has been a big pleasure to be able to participate with you today within the Terra Madre Festival. And thank you very much to the participants for participating in the webinar. So I'd just like to show you a video of Slow Food. And then if you're interested in that, you will be able to receive all the information to participate in the last webinar of Bright, which will be held in February. Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
The future of our planet is decided at the table, in our daily food choices. What do we know about what we eat? How do we choose? Where do we buy it? You can make a difference and contribute to a future where everyone has access to food that is good. Eating must be a pleasure for everyone. We all have a right to food that is healthy, natural, fresh, and seasonal. Clean. Being aware helps us to choose food that is good for our health and the health of our planet. Fair. Knowing our food means making choices that are fair to us, to the producers, and to future generations. Slow Food has been working for over 30 years to defend biodiversity and fight the climate crisis by promoting good, clean, and fair food for all. Support Slow Food. Let's act together for the common good.
Buona serata.
Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Ciao, grazie.